Hare Krishna. Summary of Canto 4, Chapter 13. Description of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Hearing that Narada Muni glorified Dhruva Maharaj at the sacrifice of the Prachetas, Vidura inquired about the Prachetas. Hearing about Dhruva's ascent to the Lord Vishnu's abode, Vidura was overwhelmed with devotional emotion and he began to inquire from Maitreya. He asked to which family did the Prachetas belong? Where was the sacrifice performed? Narada was certainly a very great personality. He personally saw the Lord face to face and compiled the Pancharatrika Vidhi. Therefore, I am very eager to hear while the Prachetas were executing sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Lord, Narada Muni glorified the qualities of Dhruva and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. I am very eager to hear about it. Since the Prachetas were born in Dhruva Maharaj's dynasty, Maitreya described the dynasties of descendants of Dhruva Maharaj first. He said, Utkala did not accept the throne after Dhruva Maharaj departed for the forest. Though Utkala was the oldest son, he did not want the opulent throne of his father. Utkala was very peaceful, detached, equipoised. He saw the Supreme Lord in all Jivas and all the Jivas in the Supreme Lord. He had attained Brahman realization, he burnt all contaminations by the practice of yoga, and he was situated in his constitutional position. Utkala appeared to be less intelligent to the common people. He appeared to be blind, dumb, deaf and mad, like fire covered with ashes. Hence, the ministers crowned his younger brother by the name Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, as a king. Vatsara married Swarviti and their children were Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu and Jaya. Pushparna married Prabha and three sons were born, Pratar, Madhya Anidnam and Sayam. With Dosha, he had three sons, Pradosha, Nishita and Vyutsa. Vyusta married Pushkarini and had one son, Sarvateja. Sarvateja and Akuti had one son, Chakshusha, who became the sixth Manu. Chakshusha and Nadwala had 12 sons, Puru, Putsa, Trita, Dhyumna, Satyavan, Ruta, Vrata, Agnistoma, Atirata, Pradyumna, Shidi and Ulmuka. Ulmuka and Pushkarini gave birth to 6 sons, Anga, Sumana, Kyati, Kratu, Angira and Gaya. Anga and Sunita had one son, Vena, who was very crooked. Anga became very disgusted with his son eventually. The saintly king Anga became disgusted with his son Vena because of the bad character of Vena and left home. When angry, the sages cursed Vena. He died after that, and after his death, the rogues and the thieves flourished and all the citizens suffered greatly. On seeing this, the great sages churned the right hand of Veda, from which King Prithu, the original emperor of the world, was born as a portion of Lord Narayana. At this time, Vidura was very astonished to hear about Vena, and he began to inquire about Vena. He said, how could such a saintly king like Anga, who had high character and who was a lover of Brahminical culture, get such a bad son as Vena? Where did the great sages conversant with Dharma, through understanding that their act will be sinful, curse the king who carried the rod of punishment? A king, even if sinful, should not be disregarded by the citizens. Therefore, I wish to hear from you about the activities of Vena, since you are so knowledgeable of the past and future, and I am your faithful devotee. Thus, when inquired by Vidura, Maitreya began to speak. He narrated the events that led to Vena's birth. Once, King Anga performed an Ashwamedha Yajna in which the demigods did not appear despite being invited by expert Brahmanas. The demigods were not accepting the oblations in spite of the well-collected and uncontaminated sacrificial paraphernalia and proper chanting of the Vedic hymns. The priest thought, "We do not find any reason for the demigods to feel insulted in any way." Hearing this, the aggrieved king Anga inquired, "Please tell me if I have committed any offences because of which the demigods are not accepting their shares." At the time, the head priest said, "You are sinless in this life, but due to a sin in your previous life, you do not have a son in this life. But if you pray to the Lord asking him for a son and perform sacrifice for that purpose, the Lord whose Yajna book will fulfill your desire. Then the demigods will come. When Lord Hari is invited, the demigods will come with him automatically to accept their shares in the sacrifice. Lord Hari fulfills the desires of everyone who worships him." Thus, for the sake of a son for King Anga, the priests offered oblations to Lord Vishnu. Then a person appeared from the fire altar carrying a golden pot of payasam. The payasam was given to Sunita. With the permission of the priests, liberal King Anga took the payasam pot, smelled it with delight, and offered it to his wife Sunita. Sunita was the daughter of Mrityu, death personified. Sometimes the Lord arranges an unfortunate wife like Sunita or a cruel son like Vena for his devotee Anga to increase his detachment so that he gradually becomes detached from his wife and home and progresses in devotional life. Sunita drank it and became pregnant. She gave birth to a son in due course of time. The boy became greatly religious, taking on the qualities of his maternal grandfather Mrityu. Vena would unnecessarily kill innocent animals in the forest and frighten the citizens by his presence. He would kill his own playmates mercilessly as if they were animals for slaughter. Anga punished Vena in various ways to reform him but failed. Thus he became greatly aggrieved and thought to himself, Anga thought, "Sunless people are much more fortunate, for they need not suffer the unbearable grief caused by a bad son. They must have worshipped the Lord in their previous lives." A sinful son vanquishes one's reputation and causes irreligion and quarrel, which creates endless anxiety. No one wants such a son. Which intelligent man would desire such a son who is a bond of illusion and who makes one's home so miserable? A bad son is better than a good son, since a good son creates attachment for home, but a bad son creates hellish home by which one can easily develop detachment. With these different thoughts, Anga became indifferent and eventually left home in the dead of night towards the forest, giving up all attraction for kingdom and opulence. Understanding this, the citizens, priests, ministers, and so on were all greatly aggrieved and began searching for Anga, but no one could find him. Disappointed, they returned to the city and informed the sages who assembled there due to the king's absence. This ends the summary of Canto 4, Chapter 13, Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. Hare Krishna.